All right, you guys, we are back. We've got Nicole with us. We're going to go ahead and pull some cards and look at people's past life cards. Now, there was probably 40 different names that we got in a very short amount of time, so we're not going to be able to do all of those. We're going to do anywhere from 5 to 10. And at the very end of the presentation, if you stay tuned, we're going to pull a card and see what my possible past life was. So, hey, thanks a lot again, Nicole, for joining us. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good, good, fantastic. So, what was the first name that you wrote down for the first person's card that we're going to pull?
Andrew W. We'll start with him.
Andrew W. Perfect. Okay. So, Andrew W., we're going to go ahead and pull your card now, and you go ahead and take the reins.
All right, and before I start to talk about Andrew's past life, I also just wanted to mention that you can go to my website, and if you're interested in getting a past life reading, if I don't read yours, you can find information about that there. But also from the website, and I think we might be posting a link, you can go to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be making videos about how tarot works, how past lives work, how something called karma theory works, which really explains past lives and, why when we do this reading, I'm only going to probably figure out one past life, maybe two past lives if, someone gets lucky. And why is that happening? Why am I not seeing all of your thousands and thousands of past lives if you believe that you can be reborn thousands of times? So I would definitely check that out because those videos are going to be coming out very soon. So
Great.
Andrew, or can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Can hear you just fine.
Yeah. So that will help people that are afraid of tarot and that don't really understand how past lives work. So you'll just have to watch that after the fact. And I'm using this deck. It's a really cool deck. And I'm actually going to show you the card that I pull for you when I pull it. I might actually pull up to 3 cards just so that I can get any kind of extra details that might help me. All right, so I've been shuffling this whole time, and I'm just going to lay these out in front of me. I wish you could see, but I haven't angled this laptop camera very well, so my apologies on that. And all I'm doing is I'm tuning into each individual's energy as best I can. It's a little more difficult when it's over the internet, but it's definitely possible. And Andrew, this is the first card that came up for you. It's phobias. So that doesn't give you a very specific past life. So I'm going to flip 2 more cards to kind of see. And these cards are just tools. Most of what you are going to be getting in your reading today is actually just my intuition and using these cards as a tool to access information. So I'm not just going to give you a basic reading. All right. You also got authority figures and wars and battles. So what I would definitely say for you, Andrew, is that at least currently in your life and probably throughout your life, you'll have some fears that aren't really based off of reality. And you might be holding yourself back because of some fears that are definitely related to having a past life where you were having such an issue with authority figures that you became super, super angry. It's like so much anger and frustration that it kind of was the focus of your life. So you had definitely a problem with authority figures, and you had a lot of anger and frustration. And this Wars and Battle card tells me that you took out that anger and frustration on the battlefield. So I'm actually kind of just seeing a past life where you didn't really ever learn to use that anger and frustration in kind of like a productive way. So you didn't become a spiritual warrior. You didn't really learn how to focus that energy into something creative. You just sort of expressed it in this really harsh sort of way. So in this lifetime, it's all about kind of going into that really dark part of you, which you spent so much of your past lifetime in, and dealing with some fears and really working on your relationship with authority figures. So I know that a lot of people, especially with all this stuff going on in politics and in the world, it's really difficult to have like a positive view of authority figures, but it's definitely a big lesson for you. And yeah, I would kind of ask yourself, what sort of fears have you been carrying around your whole life? And try to just allow yourself to feel that darkness and work through them so that you can use your anger and your frustration in a more productive way. So I hope that helps you, Andrew. And is everyone able to hear me? I mean, it's just me and Rex, but
yeah, your audio is coming in great, so we're
okay.
perfect. So you think that this person was military, previous life, And if you were to maybe say what type of, I mean, can you get into possible rank or position?
I kind of see it more, and I'm not a military expert, so sometimes when I see a role that I have more kind of like where I have more experience with, I can say more information, but I almost see it more as like guerrilla warfare. You know what I mean? Like not really being part of an army per se, but kind of just like fighting on the sidelines, sort of, like starting their own little wars with like a small group. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe possibly like a smaller country or something like that, more tribal war possibly, or yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting you on that. So, okay.
Yes, and Andrew, I still see you as being male, and I just see that it's kind of like fighting these wars because literally like feeling oppressed by these authority figures. So likely the government when we see the wars, the wars and battles card come up. All right.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go to a woman, Christy R, and we'll see what Christy did in a past life. And I didn't see anyone with the same name and last initial, so you should be fine with listening in and figuring out your past life, Christy. All right, so I feel this one for you, and I'm going to actually just draw 3 cards per person with a focus on one card. So, Christy, you got trees and high priest or priestess, and
Cool.
finally, biblical. So these all really, really fit together really well and really beautifully. So, Christy, I think this trees card is coming up for 2 reasons for you. This was the most important card that I flipped, and it's telling me that this was a lifetime, a very, very long time ago. So we can see that we got this card biblical, so around biblical times. And it's also telling me trees because you will feel very much like yourself, like the true core of yourself, that doesn't have any pretense, that isn't trying to impress other people when you are in nature alone. And perhaps even a strong connection with trees, regardless, even when you're not in nature. So the more that you can surround yourself with nature or live in a highly wooded area, the more you're going to feel like your true self. So this lifetime just speaks about you did live in like a civilization during the biblical period. And again, I'm not a historian, so I won't be able to tell you an exact time, unfortunately. But you were a high priestess, I believe. I'm not getting for sure a gender, but it seems like it was a high priestess. There is definitely a feminine energy. But if you were a high priestess at the time, you would have had to conform more to a sort of like masculinity. So you still had to hide like your divine feminine self in this particular incarnation, but you carried that divine feminine within you. So you had to like act a certain way, even though deep down you were so feminine, you were so in touch with nature, you were so much like in tune with the moon cycles and the magic of nature and the moon. So in this lifetime, you are still going to kind of have your deepest connection with your femininity when you are just alone in nature. So yeah, I kind of see this past life as being like living in a civilization, but you are like a religious person having to conform to sort of a male way of accessing the divine. And so you kind of go on these hideouts in nature to access your feminine self. And I think it's still like something that you carry with you. But the thing about this is, sorry, I'm interrupting myself, is that you don't have to like keep that divine feminine just as this like secret part of yourself. You can explore it and you can kind of show it to the world. You don't need to hide it anymore, is basically what I'm getting. But it is a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful connection that you have. If you haven't yet explored it, I would definitely suggest exploring it more. But just by the feeling of these cards, I feel like you probably already have some kind of a connection or a relationship with nature and your feminine self that's kind of hidden. All right. So that was Christy R.
Now, when you do these cards and you have these like thoughts that kind of come in your mind or whatever as you discuss it, how do you visualize it? Are you more of a visual person, a kinesthetic person, auditory?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it is sort of visual in like the mind's eye. So like I could see it's symbolic though too. So I could see that she kind of like I could see the area where she was living and I could see kind of what she was wearing and stuff like that. But then it's also really sensory because something kicks in where I'm feeling if I'm feeling if a thought that I'm having is right or wrong. So, for instance, sometimes in readings, I will be talking for 2 minutes about something, and then a very strong feeling comes to me, and I have to tell the person I'm speaking to, oh, wait, I need to correct that. What I said was wrong. I need to make a slight adjustment. So there's like a weird flow. So I'm seeing stuff, but because of the mental faculty and because intuition and the mental faculty aren't always like working perfectly in harmony because we're human beings, you're kind of adjusting and correcting. And with experience, you get better at it. But, it's a bunch of things happening at once. I'm not really hearing stuff though, or smelling stuff like some people can, more feeling and seeing.
Okay, so you'd say you're okay feeling and seeing. So kinesthetic first, then visually second. Usually, when I ask people that question, they will say two or three different things, and then at the very top, there's usually something that people are most of the time. I think I'm wording that wrong. Let me rephrase that. If you get into neurolinguistic programming and if you ask somebody if they're visual, auditory, kinesthetic, they're usually one of those three things. Most people are visually first and then the kinesthetic is at the last. But I've noticed with psychic people sometimes some of the best ones are good at being visual and kinesthetic at the same time. They kind of merge it together.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think, if I didn't use both, just because, like, you want to make sure that you're not, that you're just translating the information and not overly interpreting it to fit in with your logic, because some of what I see might not make sense to my logic.
Well,
Like,
that's a lot more important. I'm actually glad you brought that up because to be a true psychic isn't using their conscious mind; they're using their subconscious more so. Correct?
yeah, like I've had readings before where I'm like, I pull the whole spread and we get into it 20 minutes in, and I say, okay, something's coming through. And I'm just going to tell you what's coming through. I see a mouse on a couch and there's a feeling of sadness and the sun is shining outside the window and there's a bird flying by. And like it makes no sense to me. This is just an example, but the person will start crying and they will say, "Oh, I know what that means. Thank you so much for letting me know." So what you're tapping into is people's symbolic language.
I would agree with that. I remember one time somebody reached out to me and they said, it was really weird. I don't even remember what they said at first, but I do remember them saying essentially that they can channel deceased animals. And I was just
Yeah.
kind of like, wow, what? And then she started talking about a dog that I used to have, and she described him to a T, and it just blew me away because I had an Australian Shepherd mix with a half blue eye, and she told me about him. And I just, it was really a powerful moment in time. And I'm still friends with this gal. She's a real nice lady, very eccentric. I've noticed sometimes people, some that are more psychic. I don't even like to use the term psychic because oftentimes people look at that the wrong way. People that are more in tune with everything, that are more in tune with source itself and can pick up on stuff that's out there that some might label as psychic. Those people oftentimes seem to be quite eccentric and eclectic and kind of rogue. You look at some of them like, wow, that person's very strange, but then you get to know them and they're just so genuine and kind and caring, and they're not strange in a sense. I mean, it really just depends on what your definition is. We can all put labels on everything.
Yeah, but it is hard, I think, for people that are sensitive to, different dimensions or different levels of thinking and thought, because when you are psychic or you're doing stuff like tarot or astrology, you're kind of living in two different worlds, and you kind of know too much, so sometimes after a certain period of time, the outside world isn't as appealing to you. Like, I think most psychics probably aren't obsessed with shopping or, plastic surgery and stuff like that, like their image as much because they've gone so far inward. You know what I mean? I'm not saying all of them, but I'm just saying that I think it's really hard to, like, it's hard to fit into the world when you live half of the time outside of it, right?
Absolutely.
And that's not just for psychics, that's for anybody that's like trying to learn more about the underpinnings or like the truth about reality and just trying to think more broadly than what we're fed on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to put it. Definitely. Well,
Yeah,
and
and I'm not trying to offend anybody that cares about shopping because I shop too, but I'm just saying like the material world and this stuff we're told to like starts to at least lose some of its luster, you know?
I think you explained it right. I don't think anybody will take offense to that. Even people that don't like a whole lot of materialistic things still enjoy nice things oftentimes. I mean, they can call themselves a minimalist, but they still want to have nice stuff, and that's a good thing. So certainly that made perfect sense. Now, on that note, why don't we jump to the next name?
All right, so I'm going to be reading for Paul H. And Paul, I just wanted you to know that your name kind of spoke to me very clearly, so I hope that your reading is also very clear. So you actually, four cards fell out for you.
Wow. You're
So that's
special,
more.
Paul. That's awesome.
I don't know. He's probably going to be the one person that doesn't watch this.
Oh, he'll watch it.
Okay.
He's waiting in anticipation right now after that live show that we just did.
Okay, well, Paul, you were definitely in a war, so there's going to be that warrior spirit. Now, I've gotten this card for a lot of different people because I think a lot of us have had, or we've been forced as part of our karma to experience this. But with you, this is coming out as being you wanting to be a leader in this lifetime. I think in your past life, you were a leader as a part of a battle or a war, and you took great pride in it, and you were able to deal with really intense and really crazy situations. And I don't see you as being negative within this at all. I see you as being like, basically it's like almost as if you're one of those characters in those war movies where you're the hero because you're so sweet and you want to like help people as much as you can, but you have the mental faculties to be able to know when someone should be saved and when, leaving one person behind is better for the group. So you were just like this extraordinary strategic sort of figure, and you were very kind, and in your heart, you were fighting for the right reasons. So whatever you're fighting for in this lifetime is going to be very similar. You're going to be, at least how you approach it, I mean, is going to be very similar, where you'll fight for things, but you'll fight for things that are good. You'll fight for things that are true, that you deep down feel deserves to be fought for. And you'll be able to make the decisions that are kind of harder for other people to make. Wow. Okay. Like there's so much emotion in this too. Okay. Let me just flip the other card so I can see if there's a clearer picture with this. Wow. Okay. So these were religious battles as well. Some of them, because I think you incarnated a few times to be in battles. I think you incarnated at first just to be kind of like a warrior, and then as you got past life experience, there's a better way to say that, but as you had lifetimes worth of experience, that's when you were incarnated into that more leadership role. But you lost a lot of friends in these battles, and some of these battles were about religion. But these friends, you were able to fight because you also had sort of a connection to the other realm as well, which you might still have. And so sometimes when you lost these important friends, you could still feel their presence. Like I got this card here, Angels. I should show you all your cards. This is the wars and battles. We have biblical. And then I'll show you this last card in a minute. But you lost friends that were really important to you, but you were able to deal with it because you still felt a strong connection to them, and you truly believed that these people were still assisting you and helping you. So I would say in this lifetime, you have so much support from like the celestial realm. You have so many angels. You have so much benevolent, helpful, lucky energy because of all the people that you helped and for all the people that you impacted from this lifetime. So this is very, very powerful. And you also got this medicine man or woman. And this is not really telling me about a past life per se, but it's telling me more that because of your ability to have such a great perspective on living and dying and this whole like really scary thing, you were able to be more of a healer in this lifetime. So that kind of was a shift that happened, more towards the end of that lifetime. So you, in whatever you do, it doesn't matter if you are working in advertising or the construction business, you have a very healing energy to you because of how you changed people and, because of your strong beliefs. So it's a very powerful reading, I will say, but that's all I have to say for Paul. And before I read the next person, I wanted to point out something really strange. I think that Rex would find this sort of interesting too. And that is that I've done these past life readings live before, I think it was maybe 6 months ago. And what I found is that people that are very similar will congregate into the same places. So even if I'm not reading for you right now, you should really be listening to these past life readings because some of you that are in the same room as these people that I'm going to be reading for and that I have read for will be karmically linked to you somehow, or you will have a similar past life. For instance, I already got two of the exact same cards for people, and I've only read three people so far. So it's just something to keep in mind. There's going to be a message here for every single person
I got to
listening.
jump in, Nicole, real quick, because when you were on the show with Heidi just a couple weeks ago, didn't you say that almost every person's chart that was done had a specific house that was the same as the other?
Yes, we had a lot of emphasis on the ninth house. So there isn't always going to be a planet in the ninth house, and there are two different groups of planets, general groups. There are malefic, or like the bad planets, and the benefic, or the good planets. I like to refer to them as cruel or gentle, and almost every single chart that we had a cruel planet in the ninth house, which is, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's extremely rare,
What does
but
that mean, though?
for those people, it just means that there's going to be some kind of struggle, um, or some kind of, it depends on the planet, but some kind of struggle or some kind of drive towards religion. And so if there's a struggle with religion, it might have been that they grew up with a belief system that was way too stressful and limiting. Or it could mean that, yeah, they just grew up with a normal religion, but they kind of want to learn as much as they can to define their own religion and their own belief system. And it can deal with a lot of different things. It's actually the house of marriage. It's the house of, it can be foreign traveling. Um, it can be publishing, but that was something that I felt that it was kind of about beliefs and that the people were, there was a lot of other indicators in these charts that these people were kind of trying to redefine their beliefs.
Redefine their beliefs. That's a good analogy, I would say, with many people that spend countless hours researching alternative information that's been fed to them the majority of their lives oftentimes. So that's a really good line there. I think that resonates with me, that last thing you said.
Okay, excellent. So, and like I said, I believe that, even you, Rex, you're probably karmically linked to these people. Whenever we're a teacher to someone, I've read that those people that we teach have been teachers to us in a past life. So if you're sharing information, in a way, you're paying off a karmic debt to all these people that are watching.
Jeez, you just made the hair stand up on the back of my head. Really, you did. That was interesting. It still is. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on what you
Well,
want to
thanks, you
believe.
guys.
What was
Everybody
that?
that listens to Leak Project, thank you for all of your past lessons.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So don't feel when you're at home by yourself eating pizza, watching the Leak Project that you're alone. You're definitely within a whole group of people that in some way or another are very similar to you. I truly believe that, and I've seen that so much. All right. So
Lucky number 4.
I'm gonna read two more, and then we are going to look at Rex's past life. Okay, this is for Carolyn D. All right. Carolyn, yours have a kind of a gentle energy, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they are when I flip them over, but it felt kind of gentle. Oh, we got mother. So that's interesting. So you were definitely a mother in a past life. That's what I'm getting. I'm not getting that it's about your mother or anything like that. I truly feel that you were a mother in a past life. And because before I even flipped the cards over, I felt that gentle energy. I feel like you were a very, very good mother. You were so kind and so gentle. And you were not only a mother to your children, you were a mother to other people's children. I'm thinking more like helping to raise like your extended families, children, and kind of just more like a mother in the community. So that was who you were in every single interaction you had. You didn't take off the mother mask or the mother hat to be anything else. Okay, and you got wars and battles as well, which is crazy. We got this card for almost every single person. So I am not seeing you as being a mother going to war by any means, but I do believe that your spouse did fight in a war and that you were left to be this very strong mother for your children. But it's a beautiful lifetime because you did not make yourself become more masculine in order to make up for your husband being gone. You simply became more of that caring, feminine, wonderful person, and you didn't let the wartime get to you. You didn't let that distract from your ability to give love and to be nourishing and nurturing to your children and to other people's children. And I think that is why in this lifetime you really became a mother to other people's children as well, because you were able to carry that, and other, your I think maybe your siblings or your cousins that had children, they weren't able to be as strong as you were. Perhaps I feel like they might have lost their spouses in the war. I know there's a lot in here. And then finally, okay, so I think eventually, I wonder if I can get some clarity here. I don't know if you lost your husband, but you did lose someone in the war, and that person kind of served to be like, I got the same card again, you guys. I got angels. So you guys are getting the same cards I've shuffled every time. I spread them out and I randomly pick them, but you got angels and wars and battles. So you have a very similar energy to Paul in that you were able to look at life and death in a very positive way. And you did lose someone close to you. It feels like it was your brother in this war, and that person became your guardian angel. I think this person has been reincarnated into your life and you have a very strong relationship to them. And this is going to be a very important relationship in your life that you actually get to enjoy. And they took care of you so much in that lifetime, from like after death, in a sense, that you would have a strong responsibility to them and they might still be nurturing towards you. Yeah, there's so much to say here, but I'm just going to leave you with this and those symbols, because I think you're going to be able to pull out more by just meditating on that. And everyone that's in the room, think about this, that war. Like, a lot of you were in wars and a lot of you lost people in wars, but there is something you learned about death that was very positive. So I want you to reflect on that because it's come up so much. All right.
I'm really looking forward to going back and reading through the comment section and seeing what people have to say. It's so fascinating if you think about it. When you pull cards and you get these similarities, we do charts, we get similarities, and then if you get into the what many people would call modern science, if you look at for example, the metadata that's on people's searching habits, or if somebody likes a specific car or rides a specific bicycle or watches a particular TV show, there's different ways that people can categorize and find connections with other like-minded individuals. That's why they have certain advertising for certain shows, right? Well,
Yeah.
I'm picking up the same kind of vibe here with the tarot cards. It's fascinating because, once again, you might have somebody on the left, and I respect their beliefs. If they feel that it's demonic or evil or whatever, they're more than welcome to feel that way, and they're going to stay away from it, and that's cool. And then you have people that look at it as a representation of themselves, as pulling a card as a tool, essentially, to look at. I mean, it's kind of like this. Here's how I also look at it. Let's say you are a religious person and you read the Bible on a daily basis. Do you ever pick up the Bible and just like, I don't know what page I'm going to read, and then you pick page 374 and you read chapter 8, and then wow, that's what I was thinking. That was what came to my mind. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's your subconscious mind reaching out. And is there spiritual influence with things? Absolutely. I'm not saying there isn't. And there might be tarot cards out there that are connected with evil spirits. I know that one time I ordered a specific book when I was reading and researching on magic. I mean, I wanted to know about it. I wanted to know what it was about. I got into it deep. And some could say that I might have a master's degree or a doctorate degree in research. I wouldn't say research and practice, but I would certainly say research. And where am I going with this? The book. That's where I'm going. I ordered this book from eBay, and it was a 1913 copy of Lesser Keys of Solomon. And that was not a good idea. This book has sigils on how to summon up demons. And I looked at it as, okay, this is science. I want to see if this is legit. I'm going to get this book. I'm going to research it, and I'm going to find out if it's hogwash. And it wasn't. I got this book. I open it up. Immediately when I get this book, I can feel a presence in the house. And I open the book up, and the first page has this like watermark on it. and it was probably natural. You know, it was probably just like, but it looked like a demon with horns, almost like an outline of a demon with horns. And the person that was living with me at the time didn't even know I had the book. I had the book for a couple of months, and I finally got rid of it just because the energy was so dense and negative and dark. But the day that I got rid of the book, my roommate said, "You know, doesn't it just feel lighter in here? Doesn't it just feel different?" And I said, "Yeah, and here's why." So, I mean, and then I started doing some more research, and that particular book itself, there might have been people that had that and did specific work with it and did connect certain deities or energy that was negative. But to go out and buy it new is going to have a much different effect than if you go out and buy one that's pre-owned that somebody might have used to do their bidding, and then there's going to be energy attached to that. So I haven't shared that story with a lot of people, and that was, I feel like it was important to bring up now because you've really got to be careful if you dive into certain forms of magic. But to pull a deck of tarot, to do tarot card readings, I mean, you know, do you think that you've got fundamentalists in every sect and every creed? Some people might think it's a sin to turn on the TV. Some people might think it's a sin to go out and eat certain foods, and I get that. But in all reality, I look at these cards as a tool that you can use to understand more about what you are doing and seeking.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm going to make like a full 10 to 15-minute video on this exact subject on my channel to really talk about it and answer any questions people have. But what I tell people, this is the most simple explanation. It works every single time, is that you can give a beautiful, very sharp knife, like perfectly sharp knife that could slice a paper in half to a well-trained chef, and that chef is going to make you the most amazing dish you've ever had in your entire life. Like perfect, like the most amazing dish. You're going to be so satisfied. You're never going to have tasted anything better, right? But you can give that same knife to a murderer, like some psycho, and that person will use it to kill you.
Absolutely. I mean, a butter knife, a fork, a rock, dirt. I mean, yes, you could use any of that for good or bad. So you were so right about that. But your knife was a much better analogy than mine were. But I'm glad you brought that up for sure. So how many more readings would you like to do with this, Nicole?
So we're going to do one last reading for Sky W, and then we're going to read your tarot cards. And then, you know, if you have any other questions about past lives.
Could we do one more? Actually, I've got a friend of mine that would like theirs done as well. So could we add one to that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm just gonna,
Bingo.
I'm gonna drink a little water.
No problem.
I guess I haven't drank any water today.
Well, that's not good.
That's what
Especially when
happens
you're
when
talking
you.
so much.
That's what happens when you just drink tea and stuff. It's not good for you.
Hey, speaking of tea, that was a perfect time to do my plug here. Shameless 30-second plug. Getthetea.com. You guys, I love this stuff. I'm not kidding, and I'm not just saying that. I've been taking it for a couple of weeks now, and I feel amazing. I take just one tab a day. You can also drink it if you want with tea, but I've got so much going on that I haven't even spent 10 minutes to put tea together, so I just take it in pill form. That's my shameless plug. Now back to you.
Wonderful. I'm gonna check that out. Okay. So I want you guys to see that I'm shuffling these because I know with the camera I have right now, it's just my laptop camera. I can't really angle it any differently, but I'm shuffling and then I'm spreading them across like this before I pick, and I'm picking them at random. So I'm not, you know, I'm not making this easy to pick the same cards, you know?
Great.
So yeah, so Sky, you got male, female. All right. Knighthood. And Egypt. Okay, wow. You can see my light reflecting off of those cards. So, wow. Sky. This is interesting. I'm getting a lot of different feelings. So let's just start with the setting. You definitely were living in Egypt at the time, and there was so much like crazy magical energy flowing through your lifetime at this time because you were highly involved with the royalty and you were a member of their court in like a broad sense because you were a knight. But there is an issue of gender in this lifetime that was very difficult. So this is kind of similar to the other reading we did. I think it was for Christy or Carolyn, I can't remember which one we just did, but where you, in this lifetime, you were a male. I'm trying to think if you were a male or a female. You were a male, I believe, but you felt more like a female, but you were forced to be a knight. You were forced to kind of fight these battles. and you had to, yeah, you basically had to set aside all of your more feminine goals in order to just be this brave, strong person. Hang on, I have to tap into that a little more because it's not coming out right. Sometimes this happens and you always have to pause and reassess. Okay. No, it's telling me the timeline is a little different. So you were a knight in Egypt during this past life. That's very clear to me. And you were very much in love with this woman. So there's an issue of romance in this lifetime. But in this lifetime, there is sort of like an issue of gender. So I don't know if Sky is normally a woman's name, right? But can Sky be a male name? I don't know if Sky, if you're a male or a female, because that name is kind of ambiguous. So it's kind of funny that I got this male female card because it doesn't matter. Whatever your gender is, I've only ever heard Sky as being a female name. So if you're a female, you're still going to relate to this card in the sense that like deep down there's going to be so much masculine energy still. But if you're a male, there is going to be like a feminine energy that you're trying to deal with. And it has to do with this lifetime. It's really confusing, but my sense is that you're a female and that you're still dealing with this like very masculine energy of this past life. But it's kind of deeper because there was a lot of magic happening at this time in Egypt that you were kind of wrapped up in, that you're still sort of tied to. Like you might have some kind of strange dreams about it. And because of the shape-shifting nature of these like magical rites that you were involved in, I do think there's going to be some of that like weird energy still. And that again, it's shape-shifting. So it's kind of between feeling more masculine if you're a woman or more feminine if you're a man. I know this is confusing. I was confused, but I hope that if you reflect on it, it makes sense. But I kind of feel like it's just going to make sense to you anyways. So yeah, Rex, is Sky a male or a female name? I've only ever heard it as a female name.
That's a great question. I don't want to answer that because I don't know. Now, I know somebody that's pretty cool on the TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's a female, and her name's Sky, so I would think that it's a female.
And not that there is anything, that there aren't things in between male and female, other sorts of genders that even I haven't heard of, but it's hard to talk about gender these days. I don't know the right terminology, so.
No, you're fine. We don't have to be that politically correct here. It's okay.
I always try to be because I always get, one person that's angry. There's always one angry person, no matter, what the topic is or.
Oh, you're so right. It's impossible to please everybody. I've found that out over the past year and a half, indeed. And you could be offering somebody the most kindest, the kindest, most loving thing in the world, and there's going to be somebody out there that's like, man, that's wrong. You're so bad because it doesn't have snowflakes on it. What the hell? You're going to hell, and you know it. There's supposed to be snowflakes on that gold. Damn it.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay, let's just move on to Kristen, and then we'll move to the grand finale after that. Kristen. All right. Just drawing the cards. See, we got this card again. Wars and battles. It's just insane how this works.
And tell our audience how many people or how many cards are in that deck.
So this deck in particular only has 44 cards, so that, increases the chances, but still
44 cards.
Almost every single reading we got, right? What was that?
I just said that's neat. I mean, 44 cards is still a decent amount. It's not like you're pulling from a deck of 12 cards or something.
No, yeah, so this is substantial, as you can see. All right, we have wars and battles, lessons and blessings. Kind of hard to say. And food and hunger. This is very simple for you, Kristen. You lived in a wartime as well, and likely so many of you lived in wartime, which is quite interesting because I feel like we're sort of in this weird time now that's a little bit different with who knows what's going to happen with Trump, but if we have to pay $10 for an avocado and stuff like that, I feel like we're going to be dealing with some similar issues, but I have no idea what's going to happen. But you dealt with having to really ration your food, really ration your spending. There's going to be maybe a poverty kind of complex with you because of what you experienced in that lifetime. I don't necessarily see you as fighting in the war. You might have you might have had to be directly involved with it in some way. Um, and I'm not just saying that because you're a woman, your name is female. I really do think that it's more like you might have done some work for the army, but you weren't necessarily like battling, but your whole life was affected. Definitely as far as like feeding your family was concerned, having to really, ration what you were eating and what you were cooking on a day-to-day basis. And so I do think there's going to be some kind of like a strange poverty complex that comes out at the weirdest times for you. And this poverty complex might not just be about food or money, but other areas of your life. So you're still going to be dealing with that. And I say that because of this card, lessons and blessings. So it's kind of telling me you're still dealing with this issue, but it might be in a different way. And you have to understand, you have to kind of develop more of an attitude of abundance and understand that you are really blessed in this lifetime and that that was a past lifetime where almost everything that you really needed at a basic level was more difficult to obtain. So you have the experience, you can, use your finances wisely. If your poverty complex is in regards to your emotions, that's something that you should also kind of reflect on because it could be something else. But yeah, it's very simple with this one. Very, very simple. And I wanted to, before we read for Rex, I just also wanted to mention kind of an interesting theory I have, and maybe Rex will kind of chip in. But some people say that time kind of isn't linear. It's more stacked on top of each other. So like people say that the past and the future are kind of happening right now because all we really have is the present moment. So when I'm looking at these past lives, if we think of this whole timeline, like you're right here and your past life is here and then another past life is here and so on and so forth. But like you kind of flip it so, it's all on top of each other. These are like undercurrents of your life that you're dealing with now. These are subconscious things. These are tendencies that we have that, we can say that they're a past life, but they're really like a part of ourself that's kind of playing out, right? It's not like it is, from our three-dimensional experience, it's the past. But I don't know. I've had experiences, for instance, in my dreams where time doesn't exist, right? So a past life would really be just another kind of course, trying to think stream of things happening that's happening simultaneously. So if there are things in a past life that need to be dealt with, you can deal with them now. You can deal with them in this lifetime. You don't need to, time travel into your past lifetime to deal with them. It's just there's like subtle energies that are moving through always. I need to figure out how to explain that better, but do you understand what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately, especially these timelines, different lives, etc. It's as if everything is intertwined. And I've wondered, especially the more that I've been doing Leak Project, the connections that I've been making, the people that I've been meeting, I'm like, I almost feel like there's a crescendo coming up here, something really big on multiple levels. And that's why so many of us are gathering essentially to learn and get knowledge and just break out of the traditional matrix that's enslaved people for so long. I think people are just, I think their minds are sparking and shooting a million miles an hour and they're ready to get out of it. And they're seeing this entire new reality essentially that they have access to. And it's so amazing. I remember, I really woke up. The first thing that just took me over the edge, like as far as mentally, at least within the past 15 years, I would say, was when I had an out of body experience. And I wasn't even trying to do it. I was going to sleep. And as I was falling asleep, I left my body. I could see my body. I could see everything else. And it scared me so bad that I woke myself back up. And then as I fell asleep, I did it again. And it freaked me out. So I woke myself up and shook myself around. I said, man, I don't want to get possessed by a demon or something. I was freaking out because at that point in time where my mindset was, is I was a Christian. I looked at Jesus Christ as the only way to make it into heaven. And if I didn't follow the path, then I could spend an eternity in hell. And, reading tarot cards, I didn't really think that that was bad or good, but it wasn't, a lot of the stuff that now that I would look at as just research and information and tools, essentially, I would maybe look at back then as something evil or wrong or something like that. So it's just amazing how throughout the years, people do start to wake up and realize that they've been lied to for so long, and they've been imprisoned mentally for so long, and they're being imprisoned from themselves. I mean, if you really think about it, it's stuff that can be so beneficial for us. There's different religions or different teachers or institutions out there that say that's bad for you, that's wrong, that's evil. And in reality, it's like, well, are they saying that because they're wanting to keep it for themselves and they're wanting to hide it from us because it can be a tool? So excited to see what people have to say after this podcast gets uploaded. And I'm nervous to ask, but at the same time excited. Let's find out what I've got the opportunity to hear about now.
All right. And just as a reminder, we're not reading every single past life. So this is going to be the past life that's kind of the most pertinent to know at this time. So
right.
you could have a past life as an alien or a dog.
Yeah, I proved that earlier.
Okay. No, these are feeling these are feeling like something positive that you need to know.
Okay.
There's not anything heavy here. Oh, okay. I guess every time I draw this card, it's a positive, like, nice feeling. Because guess what I got again? Mother.
Huh.
So I got mother, ships, and trust and faith. These are all, like, super, really, really nice cards. Okay, this is going to sound crazy, but I think that your mother in a past life is now, like, one of your viewers that's watching. So there is like a connection here, like you do have this connection, like nurturing from that's coming through. So that's really good. And I don't think like you need to have like a friendship or relationship with this person, but that's kind of cool. All right, let me just tap into this a little more. So for sure you were working on ships, like you were part of a crew
spaceship. No.
You were part of a crew on a ship and spent a lot of time on the water. So I don't know if you enjoy like the ocean or being on ships, or if you like
Could it
hate
be a
it.
spaceship?
No, yeah, look at this. Hang on, you
Dang
guys.
it.
Hang on, no, look at this. Look at this.
What am I looking at here?
Read those words. Read the words together.
Mothership. Bingo. Hello. I knew it. Ladies and gentlemen, this just in. That is so cool. I was working on the mothership.
So he was on the mothership. No, I mean, I do sort of, like, I'm not going to lie, I do kind of feel that there is like an alien presence here with these cards coming through. Because the frequency, I'm not joking, because the frequency of these cards is very different than when I pulled the other cards. It is
quite a bit different. You were pulling like battle cards and stuff, and the Knights of the Templar and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Mother. Whoa.
So I do feel like this suggests that you are from another plane. You are from another, like, I don't know if you've actually had a real physical incarnation, like on Earth. Like this might be your first one where you had incarnations on other planets, because what I'm tapping into does not feel exactly like, you know, a regular, real earthly existence. But if we are going to read for the earthly existence, I do feel that you were working on a ship. So you would have like a really strong connection with the water and traveling abroad to foreign countries, and probably like gaining information from other cultures. Just like you would have that privilege of gaining information from other cultures because you were literally one of the very few people that dealt with so many different cultures. Like who else got to, you know, meet people from 10 different countries during these older times? Only the people that were like physically traveling, and those were the people that worked on the ship. So you have had past life experience dealing with so many different cultures. And so you're going to find as you're studying all these different things that a lot of stuff is going to be familiar to you. It's not going to be all consolidated into one region. It's going to be many different regions because of all the different traveling and meeting of different cultures that you've done in past lives. It might not be that you know everything, but it won't be completely like, what is this that I'm looking at? But you also were very much separated from your mother in this lifetime. So this would give you more of a need to have a strong feminine presence in your life, or a strong relationship with your mother in this lifetime, because you didn't get to have that really close nurturing relationship with your mother because you were on a ship all the time. But yeah, I think that seeing all these different cultures and meeting all these different people really formed your kind of the basis and the foundation of like your faith and how you're shaping it now, and looking into more of those things that in that past life you thought were interesting, but you were always moving. you never really got to immerse yourself in very much. So does that resonate? Does that make sense?
You're kind of spooking me out a little bit because I think about the way I am now as far as travel goes, and I've talked about this before. I love to travel. I mean, crazy traveler. I put always on the go, always moving, always seeking knowledge. So all that stuff that you said there, that was, that's pretty powerful. I appreciate that. That was definitely resonating.
Yeah, so and it's interesting to think about. Just think about all the places that ships could take you back in the day that, we can travel to by train or plane. So you were kind of, you were working your ass off, but you got to see a lot of things that no one else got to see. So you have a lot of knowledge that most people don't have in a weird way because of that.
I wonder if that's why I do this show, and I'm always seeking knowledge and out there, looking for information from different aspects and not just one, not one culture, not putting all my eggs in one basket. That might explain it. That's incredible.
But yeah, I mean, don't forget what we said about the mothership. I was only half joking.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, that's always fun to think about. I was just having fun with that, but that is
Too.
interesting. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. As all that sounds so amazing, I resonate with all that at so many different levels. It's still tough to really truly know unless you could be looking at it on a screen somehow. Like, oh hey, by the way, this is you in lifetime 17,658, and like, oh yeah, hey, I look pretty good back then. You know what I mean? But you've really got to have that mental aptitude and be able to tap into it. And then even when you do, because there's a lot of stuff that I tap into, and that people might say, wow, that's paranormal, or that's very psychic of you. That's very sixth sense type stuff, and a lot of times I just kind of forget about it, or kind of like, man, I didn't really think that. Did I really just tap into that person's mind? You kind of have to you kind of have to block it off, otherwise you could feel like you're crazy. But well, this was awesome, Nicole. You are fantastic. I am much appreciated you coming on the show here with us, the Week Project. I know that our audience is going to love it as well. I can't wait to see their response. And please give a shout out again to your website, your YouTube channel, and how to contact you, please.
Okay, so my website is NicoleBrenny.com. My YouTube channel is called Listen to the Stars, and we're just gonna put a link because there's no easy link for that. And then you can email me hi at NicoleBrenny.com, and I'll just spell it out really quick, but you can find the link below the video. NicoleBrenny. So that's my name, that's my website. If you get a past life reading with me, it will be way more in depth than what you just saw, just so that you know. These were just for fun. And yeah,
Cool.
that's where that's pretty much where I'm at. You can try to find me on Facebook and Instagram and all of that, but these are going to be the main spots.
Right on, right on. Well, thanks, Nicole. Much appreciated. And folks, check out youtube.com/clandestine time lord, also leakproject.com. Thanks a lot, you guys. Question everything and be the change you want to see. All right, you guys, we are back. We've got Nicole with us. We're going to go ahead and pull some cards and look at people's past life cards. Now, there was probably 40 different names that we got in a very short amount of time, so we're not going to be able to do all of those. We're going to do anywhere from 5 to 10. And at the very end of the presentation, if you stay tuned, we're going to pull a card and see what my possible past life was. So, hey, thanks a lot again, Nicole, for joining us. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good, good, fantastic. So, what was the first name that you wrote down for the first person's card that we're going to pull?
Andrew W. We'll start with him.
Andrew W. Perfect. Okay. So, Andrew W., we're going to go ahead and pull your card now, and you go ahead and take the reins.
All right, and before I start to talk about Andrew's past life, I also just wanted to mention that you can go to my website, and if you're interested in getting a past life reading, if I don't read yours, you can find information about that there. But also from the website, and I think we might be posting a link, you can go to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be making videos about how tarot works, how past lives work, how something called karma theory works, which really explains past lives, and why when we do this reading, I'm only going to probably figure out one past life, maybe two past lives if someone gets lucky. And why is that happening? Why am I not seeing all of your thousands and thousands of past lives if you believe that you can be reborn thousands of times? So I would definitely check that out because those videos are going to be coming out very soon. So
Great.
Andrew, or can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Can hear you just fine.
Yeah. So that will help people that are afraid of tarot and that don't really understand how past lives work. So you'll just have to watch that after the fact. And I'm using this deck. It's a really cool deck. And I'm actually going to show you the card that I pull for you when I pull it. I might actually pull up to 3 cards just so that I can get any kind of extra details that might help me. All right, so I've been shuffling this whole time, and I'm just going to lay these out in front of me. I wish you could see, but I haven't angled this laptop camera very well, so my apologies on that. And all I'm doing is I'm tuning into each individual's energy as best I can. It's a little more difficult when it's over the internet, but it's definitely possible. And Andrew, this is the first card that came up for you. It's phobias. So that doesn't give you a very specific past life. So I'm going to flip 2 more cards to kind of see. And these cards are just tools. Most of what you are going to be getting in your reading today is actually just my intuition and using these cards as a tool to access information. So I'm not just going to give you a basic reading. All right. You also got authority figures and wars and battles. So what I would definitely say for you, Andrew, is that at least currently in your life and probably throughout your life, you'll have some fears that aren't really based off of reality. And you might be holding yourself back because of some fears that are definitely related to having a past life where you were having such an issue with authority figures that you became super, super angry. It's like so much anger and frustration that it kind of was the focus of your life. So you had definitely a problem with authority figures, and you had a lot of anger and frustration. And this Wars and Battle card tells me that you took out that anger and frustration on the battlefield. So I'm actually kind of just seeing a past life where you didn't really ever learn to use that anger and frustration in kind of like a productive way. So you didn't become a spiritual warrior. You didn't really learn how to focus that energy into something creative. You just sort of expressed it in this really harsh sort of way. So in this lifetime, it's all about kind of going into that really dark part of you, which you spent so much of your past lifetime in, and dealing with some fears and really working on your relationship with authority figures. So I know that a lot of people, especially with all this stuff going on in politics and in the world, it's really difficult to have like a positive view of authority figures, but it's definitely a big lesson for you. And yeah, I would kind of ask yourself, what sort of fears have you been carrying around your whole life? And try to just allow yourself to feel that darkness and work through them so that you can use your anger and your frustration in a more productive way. So I hope that helps you, Andrew. And is everyone able to hear me? I mean, it's just me and Rex, but
yeah, your audio is coming in great, so we're
okay.
perfect. So you think that this person was military, previous life, and if you were to maybe say what type of, I mean, can you get into possible rank or position?
You know, I kind of see it more, and I'm not a military expert, so sometimes when I see a role that I have more kind of like where I have more experience with, I can say more information, but I almost see it more as like guerrilla warfare. You know what I mean? Like not really being part of an army per se, but kind of just like fighting on the sidelines, sort of, you know, like starting their own little wars with like a small group. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe possibly like a smaller country or something like that, more tribal war possibly, or yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting you on that. So, okay.
Yes, and Andrew, I still see you as being male, and I just see that it's kind of like fighting these wars because literally like feeling oppressed by these authority figures. So likely the government when we see the wars, the wars and battles card come up. All right.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go to a woman, Christy R, and we'll see what Christy did in a past life. And I didn't see anyone with the same name and last initial, so you should be fine with listening in and figuring out your past life, Christy. All right, so I feel this one for you, and I'm going to actually just draw 3 cards per person with a focus on one card. So, Christy, you got trees and high priest or priestess. And
Cool.
finally, biblical. So these all really, really fit together really well and really beautifully. So, Christy, I think this trees card is coming up for two reasons for you. This was the most important card that I flipped, and it's telling me that this was a lifetime, a very, very long time ago. So we can see that we got this card biblical, so around biblical times. And it's also telling me trees because you will feel very much like yourself, like the true core of yourself, that doesn't have any pretense, that isn't trying to impress other people when you are in nature alone. And perhaps even a strong connection with trees, regardless, even when you're not in nature. So the more that you can surround yourself with nature or live in a highly wooded area, the more you're going to feel like your true self. So this lifetime just speaks about you did live in like a civilization during the biblical period